If a woman reaches out to you after silence, should you ignore her or should you respond? This is one of the most controversial debates in dating today. Some men swear by ignoring her no matter what, believing it keeps them in control. Others say that responding shows strength and confidence. The truth is, both sides can be right, but only depending on the situation and the man behind the decision. Welcome, and let's get real about this. Too many men play these games without understanding what's actually happening in a woman's mind when she contacts you. If you don't get this part right, you'll either push her away completely or give away your power without even realizing it. And that's why this topic matters. It's not just about whether you reply or not. It's about why you choose one or the other. Think about it. If she's reaching out, there's a reason. Women don't just do things for no reason. They're testing, they're curious, they're emotional, or they're genuinely interested again. But here's the controversial part. If you respond the wrong way, she may immediately lose interest. If you keep ignoring her, she may move on for good. It's a razor's edge, and most men don't know how to walk it. So in this video, we're going to break it all down. You'll learn the psychology behind why a woman reaches out after silence, when ignoring her is the right move, when responding is the smarter choice, and most importantly, how to handle yourself so you stay in control. This isn't about playing childish games. It's about understanding female behavior and making decisions that protect your value as a man. Because at the end of the day, whether you ignore her or respond, the only thing that matters is whether your actions increase her respect for you or destroy it. 1. Why she reaches out in the first place. Before you decide whether to ignore her or respond, you need to understand why she's even reaching out to you in the first place. Women don't just randomly pop up in your messages out of boredom. Every move she makes is tied to emotion, curiosity, or a need to get something from you, even if she doesn't consciously realize it. Sometimes she's reaching out because she misses the attention you gave her. When a man pulls back, a woman will often feel that absence more than she expected. Maybe she thought you'd keep chasing, but when you didn't, she suddenly felt that gap. That little text she sends, "Hey," or "How have you been?" is her way of checking if you're still available to her. She's not always coming back because she's truly interested in you. Sometimes, it's about making sure she hasn't lost you completely. Other times, her message is a test. Women test men constantly, not because they're evil or manipulative, but because it's built into their psychology. If she left you on read last week, ignored your calls, or even pulled away emotionally, her reaching out could be her way of seeing if you're still willing to give her access to you. If you respond too quickly or too eagerly, she'll know she still has you where she wants you. There's also the possibility that she's genuinely curious. Maybe she's been thinking about you, wondering what you're up to, or feeling a spark of regret about how things ended. A lot of women don't like to admit when they've made a mistake. So instead of saying, "I miss you," they'll send something casual and harmless, like a meme or a simple question. It's less about the content of the message and more about whether you'll take the bait. And finally, let's not forget, sometimes she reaches out because she has no one else to talk to. You were once a source of comfort, validation, or even just entertainment. In moments of loneliness, women often go back to the men they know will respond. If you're not careful, you can easily slip into being her backup option without even realizing it. The bottom line is this: when a woman reaches out, it always has meaning. The mistake most men make is assuming her message equals interest. It doesn't. Sometimes it's interest, sometimes it's testing, sometimes it's loneliness. The key is learning to see the difference, because your decision to respond or ignore should depend on why she's reaching out, not just the fact that she did. 2. Ignoring her can backfire. Quickly. A lot of men think ignoring a woman is always the best move because it keeps them in control. They believe silence automatically raises their value and makes her chase harder. But here's the problem. Ignoring her without purpose can backfire, and it can do so faster than you think. When a woman reaches out, she's looking for a response to something inside of her. That could be curiosity, attraction, regret, or even boredom. If she sends a message and you completely ignore it, what you're really communicating is, "You're not important to me." That sounds powerful in theory, but in reality, it often has the opposite effect. Instead of making her chase, it can make her shut down. She might think, well, he clearly doesn't care, so I'll move on. And once she makes that decision, she usually won't look back. Think about it this way. Women have options. If you go completely silent when she tests the waters, another man might respond. And if she gets the attention or connection she was craving from him, she won't need to circle back to you. By ignoring her without strategy, you basically hand her over to someone else. Another reason ignoring can backfire is timing. Let's say she's genuinely interested, maybe even reconsidering her past behavior with you. If she sends that first message and you brush it off, she'll likely see it as rejection. And women don't chase rejection for long. A little challenge is exciting to her, but constant silence kills her motivation. Men also need to recognize that ignoring her can create resentment. If she was reaching out from a place of vulnerability, whether she missed you, regretted something, or wanted to reconnect, and you act like she doesn't exist, she may turn cold. Instead of being drawn to you, she feels disrespected. That's not attraction. That's bitterness. The truth is, ignoring only works when it's intentional and when the situation calls for it. If she's playing games, breadcrumbing you, or trying to keep you as a backup option, ignoring her is powerful. But if she's showing genuine interest or trying to rebuild connection, silence can cut off your own chances without you realizing it. The key takeaway here is this: ignoring isn't a blanket strategy. It's not something you should automatically do every time she reaches out. If you misuse it, you'll lose more women than you'll ever attract. The real power comes from knowing when to ignore and when to respond with strength and control. 3. When silence actually builds power. While ignoring her can sometimes backfire, there are situations where silence works in your favor. In fact, when used correctly, it can create more attraction and respect than any clever line or well-crafted response. The key is knowing when silence is a statement of strength, not weakness. Silence builds power when she's reaching out without genuine effort. If her message is a lazy "hey" at midnight, or a random reaction to your story after days or weeks of ghosting you, responding only rewards her minimal effort. That kind of attention teaches her that you're available no matter what. And once a woman feels that, her respect for you drops. Silence, in this case, communicates that you're not desperate for crumbs of her attention. Another moment when silence is powerful is if she's clearly testing you. Maybe she ignored your last messages, disappeared for weeks, or made it obvious she wasn't serious. Then suddenly she sends something vague just to see if you'll jump. If you respond instantly, she learns she can come and go as she pleases. But if you stay silent, you flip the script. She realizes you're not waiting around for her, and that uncertainty makes her question her own position with you. Silence also builds power after disrespect. If she dismissed you, belittled you, or openly chose someone else, and now she's circling back, responding too soon, puts you in a weak position. Your silence shows that you value yourself enough not to be an easy option. Women may not admit it out loud, but they respect men who don't tolerate being treated like a backup plan. It's important to understand that silence is not about being cold or bitter. It's about maintaining standards. You don't ignore her just to punish her. You ignore her because her effort doesn't meet the level of access you allow into your life. When silence is used this way, it sends a clear message. Your time and energy are valuable, and you won't hand them out cheaply. The beauty of silence is that it forces her to do the thinking. While you're calm and carrying on with your life, she's left wondering, Why didn't he reply? Has he moved on? Did I lose him for good? That uncertainty can create more attraction than any words you could type. But here's the catch. Silence only works when it's justified. If you use it every time, it loses meaning. It becomes obvious that you're just avoiding her instead of setting a standard. Power comes from balance, knowing when to remain silent and when to speak. 4. The risk of responding too eagerly. On the flip side of silence, there's another common mistake men make: responding too quickly, too eagerly, and with too much enthusiasm. This might feel natural, especially if you've been waiting for her to reach out, but it often works against you. When a woman contacts you, part of what she's doing is checking your emotional temperature. She wants to see how much you still care, how available you are, and whether she still has influence over you. If you reply instantly with excitement, you confirm all of that in one move. She learns you've been waiting, she knows you're still hooked, and she feels zero challenge. And without challenge, attraction fades. Responding too eagerly also creates an imbalance. Think about it. She might have taken hours, days, or even weeks to send you a message. But if you reply within seconds, it shows your world revolves around her, while hers clearly doesn't revolve around you. That imbalance makes her feel like she's the prize, and you're the one chasing. And once that dynamic sets in, it's almost impossible to flip it. Another risk of eagerness is that it gives away your frame. Instead of being calm and controlled, you shift into her frame, her timing, her rhythm, her agenda. She sends a small breadcrumb, and you treat it like a feast. This makes her feel she doesn't need to invest any more energy, because you've already given her everything she wanted from a single message. Men also forget that eagerness can look desperate. Even if you think you're just being nice or polite, to her it feels like validation she didn't have to earn. Women value what they work for, not what's handed to them easily. When your eagerness gives her instant reassurance, she loses the motivation to pursue you further. That doesn't mean you should play robotic games and ignore her forever. But it does mean you need to control your pace. A thoughtful, measured response carries far more weight than an immediate flood of texts. The goal is to show interest without looking like you've been starving for her attention. The strongest position you can hold is this: act like a man who has a full life outside of her. Your energy, your time, and your attention are valuable. If she reaches out, she should feel like she's earning a piece of that, not like you're dropping everything just because she decided to appear. 5. How to respond without losing control. So, if ignoring her can backfire, and responding too eagerly can ruin the dynamic, the question becomes, how do you respond in a way that keeps you in control? The answer isn't complicated. It's about balance. You want to acknowledge her effort without throwing away your value. Imagine this. You've been distant for a while, focusing on yourself, and suddenly she sends you a message late at night saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" Now, the average guy would light up, reply immediately, and start pouring out attention. But the man who knows his value takes a different approach. Instead of jumping into her frame, he replies in a calm, measured way. Something simple, short, and not emotionally loaded. By doing that, he communicates that he's not desperate, but he's also not bitter. He's simply in control. The key is to match your response to her effort. If she sends a lazy one-word text, you don't reward it with paragraphs. If she reaches out with genuine curiosity or interest, you can respond with slightly more engagement, but still in a calm, relaxed way. This shows her that your time and attention have levels. She doesn't automatically get your full energy unless she earns it. Another part of responding with control is pace. Don't feel pressured to reply instantly. You don't need to make her wait days just to prove a point. But taking your time, maybe an hour, maybe a few, shows her that you have a life. Women notice how fast you respond, and your timing says more than your actual words. It's also important to keep the tone light. Avoid heavy conversations right away. Don't jump into emotional territory or start talking about the past. Keep it playful, calm, and simple. You want her to feel like reconnecting with you is enjoyable, not like it's a chore filled with tension. Most importantly, when you do respond, stay rooted in your frame. 6. Timing is everything. Why it matters. In situations like this, timing makes all the difference. You can say the right words, but if your timing is off, the whole interaction falls flat. That's why understanding when to respond and when to stay silent is just as important as how you respond. If you reply instantly every time she sends something, it shows you're on standby. She doesn't have to put in effort because you're already waiting. That kills mystery and lowers your value. On the other hand, if you drag it out too long every single time, it feels unnatural and forced. She'll eventually catch on that you're just playing games, and that destroys respect. The real strength lies in balance. Think about how she reached out. Was it casual and low effort, like a late-night hey with no context? That kind of message doesn't deserve an immediate response. Waiting a few hours or even until the next day shows you're not rushing to reward laziness. Now, if her message had genuine effort, she asked about something specific, mentioned a memory, or showed she was actually thinking about you, then taking too long can make you look uninterested. In that case, a timely but calm reply makes more sense. Timing also matters because it frames your lifestyle. When you don't reply right away, it suggests you have priorities, goals, and things going on in your life. That's attractive. Women want to feel like they're stepping into the world of a man who's busy, focused, and not glued to his phone. At the same time, replying in a reasonable window prevents you from looking petty. You're not trying to punish her. You're showing balance. Another reason timing is so powerful is because it creates anticipation. If she sends you something and you don't jump immediately, it gives her time to think. She'll wonder, what's he doing? Did he move on? Is he talking to someone else? That curiosity keeps her invested. By the time you do reply, she's already more engaged in the interaction. Men often underestimate how much timing communicates. It tells her how much access she really has to you. It tells her whether you're chasing, whether you're too busy to care, or whether you're balanced and selective. Out of all those, the last one is the most attractive. So, don't just focus on what to say. Pay attention to when you say it. The difference between an attractive response and a weak one often comes down to timing. If you can master that balance, you'll keep her respect and her curiosity without slipping into games or desperation. 7. Stop playing games and start leading. At some point, you need to ask yourself, what's the bigger goal here? Is it just to ignore her until she breaks, or to respond in a way that makes her chase endlessly? Or is it to show up as a man who doesn't need games to hold his value? Because here's the truth. If you're constantly strategizing around ignoring or responding, you might be missing the bigger picture. Women respect men who lead. Leadership doesn't mean controlling her. It means controlling yourself. It means being clear about your standards, your boundaries, and what you're willing to accept. A lot of men end up playing defensive, always reacting to what a woman does. She texts, and you stress about whether to reply. She goes quiet, and you wonder if you should chase. That's not leadership. That's following her lead. Instead, flip the script. Start asking yourself, what do I want? Do I even want this woman in my life again? Or am I just reacting because she reached out? If she treated you poorly before, ignoring her might not be a tactic. It might just be the right decision for your self-respect. And if she's reaching out with genuine effort, maybe you respond, but you do it calmly, without giving away your whole frame. The point is, you decide based on your standards, not on her moves. This is where a lot of men need a wake-up call. If you're only focused on what she's doing, you'll always be in a weak position. You'll always be the one waiting, analyzing, overthinking. Women can sense that energy, and it kills attraction. But when you know your value, when you have a life that's full and meaningful outside of her, you don't need to play games. Whether you respond or not, it comes from a place of strength, not fear. Leadership also means clarity. Don't send mixed signals. If you're interested, show interest in a balanced way. If you're not, don't keep her around just for validation. Men who lead don't waste time. They create direction in their relationships, and women naturally respect that. So, should you ignore her if she reaches out? The answer isn't a simple yes or no. It depends on why she's reaching out, what her effort looks like, and most importantly, the standards you hold as a man. Blindly ignoring her can push her away for good, and responding too eagerly can destroy your frame. The real strength lies in balance, knowing when silence protects your value and when a measured response shows confidence. Here's the controversial part. Most men don't want to face. If you're even stressed about whether to respond or not, it might mean you're giving her too much power in your life. A man with a strong sense of direction doesn't build his world around whether a woman texts him back. He already has purpose, goals, and self-respect that guide his choices. That's the real foundation of attraction. So the next time a woman reaches out, don't rush into ignoring her or flooding her with attention. Take a step back, read the situation, and decide based on what you want, not just what she wants. Respond if it makes sense. Stay silent if it protects your value. But whatever you do, make sure it comes from strength, not fear. Now I want to hear from you. Has a woman ever reached out after pulling away, and how did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments. I'll be reading and engaging with you. Let's make this a real conversation, not just a one-way talk.